fight commentary breakdowns here. I got a really special guest, first viewer I've ever talked to from Mississippi. So I'm awesome. It's awesome that I have a Southern audience. I love my Texans. I love my Mississippi people. So Joseph is a JKD practitioner, and he reached out in this time so we can talk about martial arts. Welcome, Joseph.
Hi.
So, Joseph, tell me about your martial arts journey. When did you stumble on Kung Fu and all that jazz?
Well, first, I really got influenced by my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing it for 5 years. And really, that's how I stumbled on. But I did karate first. It was very off the surface. I don't even remember most of it.
So you were really young back in the day when you did karate.
Yeah, I think I was 6. Wow. I think I only went to 5 classes.
I see. So you did karate for a little bit, and I guess somewhere along that journey you made the switch to Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And was that kind of your dad's decision or your decision, or kind of partly together?
Yeah, it was kind of mutual.
Mm-hmm. I see. And do you still remember your first Kung Fu class?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Well, how was it like? Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, do you want the JKD part or the karate part?
Both, I guess. We could do like a comparison. So talk about your first karate class and then talk about your first JKD class.
All right. Well, the karate class, my dad and went to a gym, and he got a membership, and he found out that there was a guy that was doing karate
Mm-hmm.
in one of those small little rooms, in the back room. And I don't really remember much of it. There's just a small room. I can clearly remember JKD. The karate is kind of blurry though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. So tell me about the JKD class. So how was the first class, and then how were subsequent classes?
Well, my dad opened up a school, and I used to live in Jersey, so.
Oh, that's hence the accent, man. I was wondering why I didn't hear as much of an accent, like a Southern accent, as I thought. So that makes sense.
Oh no, I'm nowhere near the South.
Mm-hmm.
Very north.
Mm-hmm.
We opened a school in Passaic, and we started to do JKD and wrestling, and that kind of stuff. The first class was just everyone going inside and trying to doing tryouts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very inexperienced. I don't think I could throw a punch right.
Mm.
And yeah, it was pretty much the first day of the class. Sadly, we had to close down the school, and we had to move.
Oh. I see. So basically, after you guys moved to Mississippi, then you just trained with your dad in JKD.
Yeah.
I see. And do you know where he got his training?
Yeah, he used to live in upstate New York.
Oh. I see. So he trained under some JKD instructors there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting because, I'm not that familiar with JKD's history. I do know after Bruce Lee died, there kind of was a little bit of a split, right? There were the people who were like, no, let's only teach what he taught. And then there's another group of people that are more like, let's just stick with the philosophy of him and just keep incorporating things. So that's kind of the history I know of JKD. Is there more to it, or is that kind of correct?
Yeah, there's my dad was kind of on the start putting new stuff into it.
Mm-hmm. I see.
At that point, JKD was just a mix that you can put Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you can put karate and say, hey, it's JKD, or you can put boxing and then you put whatever it is, some sort of Filipino martial art and say, yeah, it's JKD.
Yeah, I know. Inosanto went that direction. Inosanto is his JKD was basically all just FMA and a little bit of what Bruce Lee taught.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So it looks like your dad incorporated a lot of jiu-jitsu and a lot of that kind of stuff into his kind of interpretation of JKD.
Yeah, he kind of the main purpose of the martial art that he believed was for street fight, like for reality.
Mm-hmm.
None of that like the taekwondo where they have like the triple kicks and stuff, or
Uh-huh.
the karate where you punch for 5 seconds and you wait for the other guy to hit back. It was kind of like you're gonna break the guy's arm and leave him there and possibly like hurt him real bad in
Mm-hmm.
that case.
I see. Wow. Wow. And so when you guys were in Mississippi, did you guys teach people privately? Or was it really just you and your dad kind of training together?
It was really me and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's really interesting too because I don't even know what kind of martial arts are popular in Mississippi. Is it like the standard karate, taekwondo, or is it like something pretty random that we never thought about?
it's kind of like those McDojos. Like, it's just the
Oh.
kung fu where they like start advertising it like what is it, like Tiger Rock or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you got another one that like kung fu and it's like $240 a week or something.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, considering the standard of living in Mississippi, like everything's cheaper than, I'm comparing it to LA. $240 is like half your rent in some places in Mississippi, man. Wow.
Sometimes even more.
Even more. Yeah, that's crazy that they would charge that much and people actually buy into it.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's why, I understand why now. Whenever I call out those funny bullshito masters, it gets so many views because so many people have either seen it or been through that kind of like getting shystered, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, dude. When you moved to Mississippi, did you ever consider maybe trying any of those other schools? Did you ever spar any of those McDojo people?
Nah. Nah. No.
I see, and
I
that's totally fine. It's all about, for you. It's all about your own training. It's all about respect. It's not about trying to step outside of boundaries, so to speak.
I mean, even if I wanted to, I wouldn't like just that's not morally right. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't go into some school and disrespect them and
Mm-hmm.
beat them down. Just you don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense, man. Wow. Um, how long was the JKD school in session in New Jersey when you guys were there?
About a
A
year
year.
or two.
Wow. I think that's a very fascinating thing too. Kind of like, since it was your dad's school, you probably helped him run it for a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I was the senior in the class.
Nah, makes sense. So it's like you had to understand the entire kind of procedure, the entire process of how to run a school, how to keep the school afloat. So you got to see a lot of the behind the scenes that many of us who, let's say, train at a dojo or train in a gym don't see.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you don't see. There's a lot of things
Yeah, I
like
bet.
the construction itself in the school. Before it was like separate rooms and stuff. We had to break all of that down. We had to put down mats. It cost a fortune in order to like turn it into what it was.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then I bet there's probably like regulatory things on safety and insurance too you would have to do, right?
Not really.
Okay. Okay. So
Safety, yeah, but insurance there wasn't much of insurance that I knew. I was only so.
just like safety, and then was your school one of those where it was month to month, or did you try to do like, okay, if you do 3 months we give you a discount kind of thing?
Well, we did kind of like if you like the like new students or like get a discount, like $45 a month, which is really stretching it in New Jersey because $45 would basically give you a pack of chips and send you on your way.
Yeah,
Maybe get a Slurpee at 7-Eleven. That's pretty much it.
exactly. Wow. Yeah, I talked to an Aikido instructor yesterday, and so it was really interesting to hear him talk about the students. So I'm going to ask you that question too. What were the average students like? Were they kind of geeky kids? Were they kind of like bodybuilders? What were your students like in Jersey?
Well, we really set up the school in like a ghetto-ish kind of where people smoked dope, and OGs started to come into the school. So,
Wow, that is so fascinating. Tell me more about that.
well, this is from my dad's perspective. No.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like there was gangsters that were going to his school, and they challenged him, obviously, and they all, it's like a few of them actually said to close the door because they didn't want their buddies to watch them fight.
Mm, I see. That's so interesting because, a lot of people, these OGs, right, they fight a lot, but it doesn't mean they know how to fight. It just means they fight a lot. It's like when I was little, I fought a lot. It doesn't mean I knew how to fight. It's the same thing. So, like, they think they know how to fight because they have a lot of fights under their belt, but then they actually go up against someone trained, and it's like a big shock in the face. It's like, whoa, I can't do anything to this guy. And I bet that's how a lot of those OGs felt.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people in my school as well, like just public school in general.
Mm,
Yes. Yeah, and like a lot of people start making fun of martial arts. It's like, oh, look at this, it's like a flying kick. Like, look at that. Like it's horrible since they have like they only know karate. Like they look at JKD and they say, oh, that's karate, or they look at like like some sort of like Japanese martial art and they go, oh, it's karate, and they go like taekwondo, it's karate. Like they all of it's karate.
mm-hmm.
Digging deeper, they find out later on.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it shows how powerful movies are, right? Once the Karate Kid came out, everyone knew the Karate Kid. Everyone started doing that crane move at the end. So, like, eventually, if you do martial arts, immediately people are going to either think Karate Kid, or they're going to maybe think, if they are a different generation, they might think Steven Seagal, or after that, they might think Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's one of the three.
Yeah. Most of them started thinking about like Jackie Chan and stuff.
Or Jackie Chan, yeah. If they were into that, then they'll think that is kung fu. Jumping around, parkouring, doing flips, and being silly, being awesome but silly.
And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that most of the people get that reputation from it. Like now, they just make fun of it.
Yeah.
Until they get punched in the face, and then they real thing.
I had a very funny story. So when I came to America, I didn't have the best kung fu schools, but at least I trained. And sometimes I was training. Our apartment complex, we lived in kind of like low-income apartment housing, and there was like a little field where the kids in the apartment would hang out, and we'd play soccer. And side note about that field, the apartment complex, they were such mean people. Like, they didn't want us playing soccer because apparently that's bad for the grass. I don't know why. So they kept putting up barriers in the field so we couldn't play. So like they put up right in the middle of the field, they put up a dog, the like poop scoop like thing, whatever it's called, and then they put up a bike rack and everything. But we still played. We're kids, right? We'll find a way around it. We're always gonna have fun. But anyways, so before they put all that up, I was practicing kung fu one day, and there was a friend of one of my best friends there who lived in the houses right next to our apartment complex, and he came over. He's like, "Oh, that's so cool! You do kung fu? Can you run on the walls?" And that was the first time I was ever asked a question like that. Because a lot of kung fu is bullshito, but at least I know I can't run on the walls, right? But just because he's seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that was the first thing he thought about when he's thinking kung fu. And then it's like, you think back on that story, and you're like, okay, so why do so many people end up believing in this stuff? It's because some people just, unfortunately, movies, they can't understand that most movies are not real. I don't know why it happens, but, movies are very immersive, right? And it's so easy to kind of substitute it for reality sometimes. But can you run on walls was a question I actually was asked. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, wow. And I guess going to school both in Jersey and in Mississippi, you had like funny questions asked of you too because you did JKD.
Yeah, like as soon like you said, they started doing like the crane kick, and like as soon as I mentioned like martial arts at all, like and I'm like I really loved like Wing Chun. Like that was the thing. I started watching Ip Man. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like look at this. Like he beat up the general in the first movie. I'm like wow, it's so cool. And all of a sudden you start like using it in something else. It's like, oh wow, it's not that great.
Exactly.
Not that great.
Exactly. All the like quick reaction sensitivity drills. You realize like, nope. Unfortunately, people's jabs and crosses and hooks just work better.
It sucks.
Yeah. And I know, like, I think depending on the type of JKD, some JKD still really focus on, like, the trapping and stuff, but I've seen other forms of JKD where it's all about, like, quick kicks and quick punches. So, like, a lot of the JKD is almost like faster boxing, almost, in a way. Faster kickboxing.
Well, I wouldn't really call it, like, I think it would be like it is the godfather of MMA.
Mm-hmm.
I would think like it would be kind of like the faster version, but it's just like you mix one martial art and that, and then you do the best you have, kind of thing.
And a question I had is, since your dad was an instructor, did he ever kind of like meet with a JKD committee or anything like that? I'm not familiar if JKD has like a governing board or anything like that, or was it kind of just anyone who was certified can then do whatever and didn't have to check with like a central whatever governing body or something about JKD?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't have to do anything of that.
Okay, I see. I'm sure because, you know, there's other martial arts. I'm sure even like, for example, ITF Taekwondo or something like that. There's probably an organization you have to report to like once a year or something. I'm sure the Gracie Baja gyms, like those jiu-jitsu gyms, probably like once in a while you probably have to talk to their headquarters or something. Just a gut instinct, but and
oh yeah,
that's like another kind of interesting issue too about sort of lineage and all that, because it's like, at what point do you just like call, let's say you incorporate judo, you incorporate sambo, and your thing basically looks indistinguishable from what people think of as like the modern MMA, and it can even beat a lot of MMA fighters. So then, are you just a mixed martial arts, or are you JKD? Right? That's like one of those like naming semantics things that are always interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's, like, people get lost in a line of fire from JKD and MMA.
Yeah. And it's like there was that interview that I translated back in the day. The one-armed boxer was talking about, you know, even if I incorporate judo and I incorporate boxing into Wing Chun, it still is Wing Chun. It's all about an idea. And that was so interesting because, you know, when you think Wing Chun, you think a certain way of standing, you think a certain way of moving, a certain way of training. But the one-armed boxer's like, nope, it's just a mentality. And then it's like you can incorporate anything into it. So I think this is kind of one of those debates that just throughout time we're always going to have, because, you know, martial arts, we all have our egos, we all have our loyalties, and then we all have that, like, the functionality, the combat stuff. So always going to be like, what is the true this? What is the true that? Okay, how much can you extend it before it becomes something else?
Right. That's the sad thing. Like, most of the martial artists are like, I don't know if I want to change this, and like we gotta keep it like authentic, and that's where they like stay in one mindset while the other person is like learning more things and they're incorporating a lot, and they're getting better in general.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's almost like if you're gonna stick so much to tradition that you take out a lot of maybe the adaptability or the functionality, then it should just be called an arts, like a dance or something, right? That's always kind of like if I'm reading the comments of a lot of the videos of the viewers reflecting, a lot of them are saying, yeah, then, you know, what separates dance from, let's say, martial arts? And I think that's one of those things that a lot of even martial artists think about too. Like, at what point, let's say you're teaching someone just to do katas, and the person knows a lot of great katas, but never sparred and never conditioned the body. So, yes, theoretically, he can learn to apply the katas to fighting, but since he doesn't know that right now, I guess he's just doing a dance, right? So, like, there's all these kind of, like, interesting issues to think about, how, especially nowadays, as more and more people are getting into combat sports and more functional kind of martial arts, and you think about more traditional stuff that has none of that kind of like pressure testing. Like, is all of that or majority of that just dance, or is there more? You know, that's something I've always thought about.
There has to be more. It can't just be a dance, or else you lose in the first 2 minutes. But
yeah,
there has to be more to it.
Yeah, and
going back on the guy who said like he never sparred or anything, that's horrible.
You know.
That's the first thing you should do as soon as you get into a martial art. You have to see if it actually works in in a certain position. Like in Wing Chun, like it's great not in the open field, but like if you're in a bathroom. Like Bruce Lee said himself, if you're in a bathroom, it would work. If you're on a football field, it would be terrible.
Yeah. One of the viewers I talked to, Sundown TE, he goes by Fang Breaker, sometimes Cody. He was also talking about stuff like this. Like a lot of times, the current MMA martial arts discourse sometimes lacks context like this, exactly like you said, Joseph. Like, if you're only thinking about the ring, then it's going to limit sort of what styles of martial arts, what ways of fighting to really consider, right? But like you said, what if you get attacked in a phone booth, or in the conversation Cody's talking about, what if you get attacked in your car? Then you have to like think about other things, or what if the person has a shiv, or what if the person has a knife or a blade, or what if the person has a baton or something like that. You got to think of things like that. And I think because it's great that the UFC and like that type of MMA, the Muay Thai coupled with judo and a little bit of, Muay Thai coupled with jiu-jitsu and a little bit of judo and maybe a little bit of wrestling, that's cool, but it also limits people's thinking about real life situations, because with concrete, with other locations, you don't fight the same. I mean, you could try to fight the same, but like you said, if you're in a bathroom stall, you probably don't even have enough room to, get into any kind of kickboxing or boxing stand to pivot and torque your hips correctly and stuff like that, right?
Right.
You're attacked in a phone booth, good luck trying to pull guard or like do any kind of, besides maybe a little bit of clinching. Like you're not going to be able to use a lot of judo or wrestling or jiu-jitsu in a phone booth or something like that. Or, good luck trying to fight someone with jiu-jitsu when he has a knife. I think there was a very popular video where someone tried it and it was like, okay, I'm sad. Oh, I'm sad. Oh.
Like I love the thing that you said. Like my father used to do loss prevention, and he started like incorporating all the things. He's like, what if the guy has AIDS? You punch him, and your knuckle, he bleeds and your knuckle's busted, and now blood to blood contact, and now you have AIDS. Or you punch him in the tooth, like he has some sort of things wrong with his teeth, like he has some sort of like disease in his teeth or something.
Yeah.
And your knuckles bust, and now you got the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Besides how, a lot of boxers, because they're so used to torquing their punches and they're so used to like throwing hooks this way, sometimes they forget that without gloves, without wraps, this knuckle is really, really soft, right? So your pinky knuckle gets broken really easily. That's why in Wing Chun JKD, a lot of the traditional martial arts, you're either punching with these two knuckles, or sometimes these two, but usually these two. But anyways, I knew a guy who was a bouncer. And I think one time he got into a scuffle and he punched a guy in the face, right? And suddenly he had two teeth sticking out of his knuckles. So he knocked the guy's teeth out, but like the guy's teeth like dug into his knuckles. So like these are things you don't think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in the ring, you got like mouth guards, you got a little headset, you got like gloves, it's all friendly. But on the real street, no one's gonna do that. They're either gonna run up to you and they're gonna start punching you, they're gonna go on you like as hard as they can.
Yeah. I had a friend who he used to, in fact, he's been on my channel before. This is Jordan. Jordan now is on the East Coast. Unfortunately, he can't guest on my channel that much anymore. But Jordan used to love sparring so much, he would carry a mouth guard in his pocket just because he just liked sparring. So, like, it would intimidate a lot of people because whenever something would happen, he would just have a mouth guard, he'd put it in his mouth, and people were like, oh, this guy's serious. And he was like, no, I just had fun, like, doing light sparring with people. But talking about the mouth guard reminded me of that. And then, I'm supposed to make these mouth guards with Guard Lab. They're a company that is selling like designs of fight commentary mouth guards. And I was thinking eventually if I make the mouth guard, I should be like Jordan. I'll be like, okay, I'll just always have a mouth guard in my pocket. So if anything happens, take it in my pocket and put on the mouth guard. Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's just like how some people have a handkerchief in their pocket, or some people have like a tactical pen in their pocket. Me, I'll just have a mouth guard in my pocket always.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of guy who has a mouth guard. Like down here in Mississippi, we can carry pretty much anything. Like I carry a Bally Song, and I carry like all these other knives, and like it's cool.
Mississippi is basically, it's a pretty open carry state, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like Texas. It's like you can carry basically everything. Just don't be stupid with it. It's a very kind of like trust people type of thing with their Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, it's just so different because In LA where we are, we're so kind of like, I don't know what the word is, progressive word they use, but I don't think like you could really carry anything. You could try to get a CCW, but to get it, like you have to jump through so many hoops. And then I've seen people open carry like machetes before or big knives, but I think if you open carry big knives in the LA area, what you have to do is you have to like prove to the police you need it for like some non-defense purpose. So like I needed to cut boxes because I work in construction, I work in delivery at Amazon or something like that.
Wait a minute. Something that's non-self-defensive? Are you serious?
Yeah,
That
so exactly. Like, so if you carry a blade that I think is longer than 3 inches or something like, I believe it's 3 inches. It depends on the place in LA too, because LA, it's a big county with a lot of different prefectures. But in certain places, like if your blade is longer than 3 inches or maybe 5 inches, you have to carry it open. You can't conceal carry it, and you have to kind of prove to the cops if they ever stop you that, oh yeah, I use this not for self-defense purposes, I use this for other purposes. It's so stupid.
it is. It is. It's stupid.
So like you have to carry a longer blade, you have to make up a reason or find a legit reason that you might use it in a non-self-defense, even though everyone, even the cops, know you're using it for self-defense. You're using it as like a signal, right? Look at this long blade I have. Don't mess with me. But because of the laws, because of the way people think, you have to justify it another way.
Yeah, it's sad. Like it's sad. Down here, you can buy a like you can buy a balisong. You could buy a switchblade on the gas station. They won't even look at it. If you're like five, you'd buy that stuff. They won't
Wow,
even
that's
glance at it.
wow. Yeah, so that's the difference. And I was talking to other viewers about this too. But the thing is, when everyone carries around stuff like that, I think there's actually fewer conflicts. Because before you start something with someone, you're going to think twice if you see that guy's armed or that guy's got something. There's a little bit more respect and a little bit just more prudence, I think, in cultures and parts of the world where people can open carry.
Right. Like I hope you don't mind me like comparing like this to like most of the schools that I go to or something. But
Hmm.
like ever since they stopped letting like students go in with like knives or like guns. Like my dad went into a high school with a shotgun because he had to solder on something.
Hmm.
And like there was no shootings, but as soon as everyone stopped and there was nothing there to like make you think twice about, they just do it. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Mostly, there's no security guards. Most of the time, the doors are wide open.
Hmm.
I have to tell you this one time. When I was back in elementary school, when I was in fourth or fifth grade,
Hmm.
we had a lockdown. It was a drill, and we had like a recent shooting, like on the news and stuff, and they did it. And there was one of the people that went by and said, "Hey guys, are you doing like a drill or something?" I was like, "Yeah, we're doing a lockdown." It's pretty bad to leave the door wide open. It was wide open, and the principal was like, "Oh my god."
Well, yeah, I went to elementary school in two parts of America, and then I went to middle school and high school in the Washington D.C. area. And in Washington D.C. we had code reds and code blues. Code reds is if there was some like threat in the actual building, and then code blues if there's like a threat in the county or somewhere not exactly in the vicinity of the school. And then so code blues would be like nobody would be allowed outside. The outside doors would be closed, but people can travel, in the school. And then code reds would be like, you shelter in place, you lock your doors and everything, and then so yeah, we had those drills too. But thank goodness we never had to use code reds ever because in high school, my high school is an open lunch school. So
Right?
it's so easy. It is so easy for someone just to wander in. In fact, after I graduated high school, I would go back and visit, right? Like when I was in college and stuff, I would still visit because I still had friends in high school. And nobody ever stopped me. I just like walked in. And I mean, I guess back then I still looked like a kid anyway. So I would just walk in and visit my teachers, and then nobody would be like, oh, this kid's not from here. Oh my God. And so it's pretty funny how lax sometimes school security is. Even I'm sure now, if I really wanted to, I could totally wander into my old high school too if I ever go back and like visit a teacher. I don't think anyone would stop me.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I think a lot of society, a lot of people in general, they probably never think about situations like self-defense situations. And I think that's the first step is to just be aware, right? And think about what would you do? What would you do if like you're walking out of your house or you're walking out of your apartment, there's some weird dude standing there. Like most people haven't even probably given that a thought ever. I think that's like the first step to anything. Just have to like plan for little contingencies like that. You know, what if some random dude's knocking on your door at 11 p.m.? What do you do, right? Or what if you're walking somewhere and then some guy's following you? Like, you got to think about contingencies like this.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that's the one thing. Like I never really had weird moments until I lived in Philadelphia for many years, and then Philadelphia occasionally you get weird, because Philadelphia is one of those cities. It's not as big as New York City, but it still has a big population. So there's a lot of mixing of people in all these places, and so like in Philly, there's a few times where it's like random dudes following me, man. Really? You think I don't see you? It's like stuff like that, and that's when you start like getting that alertness. And so thank goodness I brought that over to LA when I came here. And there's still moments in LA where sometimes I'm like, whoa, I should have been more alert. But if I didn't have all this experience in Philly, where it's just like all this sketchiness, then I probably would have not been as alert in LA, because LA has lots of sketchy areas too. And it's so surprising how many people live in sketchy areas in LA and they're kind of like not aware, not socially or situationally aware.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a lot of that in Mississippi. Oh, there's a lot of that.
yeah, yeah. So
Actually, most of them.
do people in Mississippi like do people use like TikTok and stuff like that? Is that kind of like the same culture, or do people in Mississippi use like different things for entertainment?
I mean, like in the public, there's not really much that's going on, but in middle school, oh my God, you see like every single teenage girl, they start like doing like some sort of dance. I don't know if it's TikTok or Snapchat or whatever. They start doing it out of like whenever there's any free time. It
Wow.
just
Dude, that's so funny how life has changed. Because, see, when I was in middle school, like being kind of strange or being kind of just like showy was always considered weird, right? But now, because YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, etc., is making stars out of people who can step out of their own comfort zones, their own shells. Now it's like you go to middle schools, you go to high schools, you go to even colleges. People embrace like that weirdness, that kind of, oh, I'm just gonna do all this crazy stuff because I could get famous. Like, it's interesting how cultures change. Like, I was always the kid. I didn't care. I would sing in class. I'd just be weird, and like I enjoyed doing that. And I always tell people who maybe watch this channel or watch other channels of mine, like how I act, don't think that's like the normal way. It's just something that works
yeah.
for me. It might not work for you, but now it seems like with the proliferation of social media, especially the fact that you can make revenue off it, there's just more people embracing that kind of, yeah, I'll just be weird. Ah, it's cool. I can make money off. I can get famous off it.
Yeah, and it's there's a certain point to it, right? And
You know?
they go like, oh, I can get famous, but again, they look at the money more than they do at like most of the entertainment.
Yeah. Or 20 years later, they look at it, they're like, oh my goodness, I cringe so much. Like, I look at some of my old videos from before I had fight commentary breakdowns, and I cringe at a lot of them. And I'm just like, wow, I'm glad I got out of this phase of my life. And the other thing I thought about as we were talking about this is that a lot of these kids, their parents are, probably slightly older than me, but they're slightly older, but their parents were the ones in high school and middle school who like made fun of the people who did that. And now their kids are the people that they made fun of. So it's like a
Yeah,
big,
they're like, yeah, go do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like a big karma revenge on them. It's like you for, not tolerating differences and diversity and being mean to people. Now your kids are the exact thing you made fun of.
yeah, and you see it like stereotyped in like certain movies and stuff. It's like, come on, you gotta do this, and you're gonna earn a lot of money. They do that in TV shows as well. like it's proper weird in certain TV shows.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Wow. So, I guess we can end off with this. Once all this craziness, subsides, what is your plan for your martial arts journey and etc.? Do you want to keep training in JKD and keep training with your dad? Do you want to branch out, or do you want to, travel, etc.? What is your plan afterwards? And it's okay if you don't have a plan. The thing about plans, I always tell people, is that the plans usually never ever come to fruition. People who make plans, people who make too many plans, usually are the ones that never do anything. So it's okay if you don't have a plan, but if you do, totally love to hear about it.
I have no absolute plan at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yeah.
missed the point. Well, they did
Yeah.
like some sort of social distancing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So
it,
yeah,
it seems to not be
just
working since almost all of Mississippi is affected by the coronavirus. So,
yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, I think it's the right approach. Just take it a day at a time, right? And just try to write it out. And it's hard to tell people not to stress, but just got to do it. And yeah, I mean, especially currently what's going on, like all these people making a plan for, oh yeah, once this is over, well then it keeps getting extended. So unfortunately, it's just like just have to try your best to stay afloat, and then whenever this ends, then a lot of changes will be permanent. But there's a lot of good opportunity too, because there's going to be a big kind of like entrepreneurship shortage, a labor shortage, a lot of stuff once this ends. So I guess for all of us, we just have to be prepared for when that happens, and maybe we can make businesses or make whatever to serve people. So
right. And
yeah,
there is a positive to this as well for security companies.
very true for security companies. Yes, their services are
Thank-
very essential now.
Thankfully, we have one of those companies.
Oh, I see. So you guys are okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
That's
we
good.
weren't at the start because, well, how are you supposed to have security if you can't get into like 6 feet away from the person in
Mm-hmm.
the first place? And that's
Are
probably the
there
main reason
are
why
there
everyone
kind of like
is
exceptions for security personnel now? So like you guys can like bridge the 6 feet distance, right, if needed.
no, I don't know that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Okay. I guess in a way, in another way, if let's say security guards, etc., need to follow that 6 feet thing, it might be good too, because then the punks are less likely, because they have to follow social distancing. They're less likely to actually go face to face with you, which reduces the risk of being a security guard or working in security, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to work in security. Fights happen all the time. Bouncers get tested all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So, and
There's
yeah.
people that are getting stabbed here, like stabbed and getting pulled on with guns because of a roll of toilet paper.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
sad.
Yeah. And I guess that's another reason to appreciate all those people, working in security too. Like they're in the front lines of this, like trying to
Yeah,
prevent two people from hurting each other over toilet paper. They could get accidentally stabbed too. It's really scary.
yeah, no, like that's the sad thing. Most people are like, "Hey, look at the cops." It's like, security is nothing. It's like you got to realize we're there before the cops even are mentioned.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dad, uh, my dad used to like work for another company, and he got shot at on New Year's Eve.
Oh my goodness.
Like full round, like full clip of the gun. Just
Yeah.
uh,
Was he
yeah, and
wearing a bulletproof vest?
yeah, but that wouldn't really help at all because he was in the open field and he could hear the bullets whizzing by because he had a camera on. Like this like required for the job. He had a camera on
Mm-hmm.
his vest, and you could hear it like zipping by.
Wow. But I'm glad he's okay, right? It looks like none of the bullets hit him.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
he's fine.
Wow, but the fact that someone fired a full load at him, that's crazy. New Year's Eve, too, man.
Sad part is that they're kids.
Yeah.
Like they're me. Like it's just wow.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's crazy, man. So that's a reminder for people too in this crazy time. Stay safe, man. If you're at the store and someone wants that water you want, just be like, okay, I can order a Brita online from Amazon. I don't need that water. You take that water. Don't get into arguments with people, and because you never know. People are on edge right now. You never know what can happen. Like it's crazy.
Right, they have restrictions now for the water amount. You can only get 2 packs now.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same in a lot of LA supermarkets. They're like, okay, only buy what you will need. Don't hoard. They have a restriction like that too, because in the beginning when this was all happening, it was so dumb. Like people were buying the stupidest stuff. It's like, like, do you need this stuff? You're just buying because you're scared, and someone said this apocalypse, and you're just like, just like putting stuff into your
Right, it's like
cart.
it's a virus. It's a virus. It's not an invasion. It's a
Yeah,
virus.
yeah. So wow, it's I would totally in the future if your dad's down totally talk to your dad too about his experience doing security too. That's something super interesting because if you want crazy stories, talk to people who do security, man. They're it's almost like they get more beef with people because people usually won't challenge cops because one, they're cops, right? They have this authority thing in our society, and on top of that, we all know certain cops are just waiting for an opportunity to beat you up or to shoot you. It's like most people don't challenge cops, but security, it's like that's like a gray area. Oh, if I'm having a bad day, let's go give them some BS.
There are certain cops that are like that, but there's like that's like a one in 100 chance. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but security, it's like people don't have that perception of security as like the authority, right? So if people are gonna do something stupid, they're usually gonna do something to like private security contractors and stuff like that. So, wow. Anyways, we can stop the talk here, guys. This was Joseph. He's a JKD guy and training with his dad, and his dad works in security. And first viewer I think I've ever talked to in Mississippi. So, Joseph, again, this was really cool. Thank you so much for
no,
talking
thank
to
you.
us. And by the way, that what is your profile name emblem? What is that exactly? I see some
Uh,
Korean on there, right?
It's like the JKD symbol.
Oh, I see. That's pretty cool. Okay, cool. Guys, this was Joseph. If you have any questions about Mississippi, about JKD, about martial arts, or any comments, you can feel free to leave it in the comment section. I'll definitely have Joseph back. And like always, because, YouTube is trying to enforce its community standards because it wants to sell ads, etc. Please try your best, people. I know I can't stop you, but try your best not to be too uncivil in the comment section. Whether you want to talk about me or talk about Joseph, try to be constructive, right? I can't stop you, but YouTube has these community standards. So if you get too overboard, I probably will have to take action against certain viewers. A little disclaimer for everyone in case you're wondering, oh, why did my comment disappear? It's probably because you got too racist or you got too something, right? So, anyways, this was Joseph. Joseph, I'm gonna stop recording now. We can keep talking after this, but thank you so much for tuning in, Joseph.
All right, thanks.